Welcome to Spartan Up Podcast. Here we are in Boston. I've got Tim Nye, Sefra, Johnny, Joe, Marion. And this interview is with Jack Easdale. And so Jack is a Vegas businessman. And this is different than some of our other ones. We've had a lot of, athletes lately and adventures and whatnot. And this guy, the lessons you can take away for business and for being very disciplined and focused on what you do, which is something that I can learn a lot from. This was a really good one for me.
We are in Vegas, the most un-Spartan location, I think, in the world. I kind of felt dirty showing up here with Jack Easdale.
Hello.
And avid CrossFitter. Your data-driven mind, economist, MBA for one of the big hotels here. We got to be a little secretive about which hotel it is. But this whole podcast is about finding success. Okay. What makes a successful mom? What makes a successful CrossFitter, a business person? And you're an interesting person because you go into the data. There's no winging it or let's just do a gut check. It's like, no, I want to see the data. So explain that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of things in life, you mentioned winging it or gut check, and in a billion-dollar organization where I work, that's just not going to suffice. When you have a team, of which I do, of analysts and folks with some pretty impressive backgrounds, statistics and analytics and finance, accounting, engineering, etc., you get to the point where you can determine with a high percentage of probability what the right outcome is. So you're not guessing. And really, when we're talking about things that are perishable and or have a fixed capacity, such as a large hotel would or a Spartan race, frankly, you have to be right. You got one shot at it
or a mom cooking meals.
Or a mom cooking meals, very
right.
good.
Food's perishable.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, indeed, because if you think, a lot of people don't think about it this way, but if you owned a car factory and your car didn't sell, you could stick it in inventory and sell it another day and put it on sale or what have you. If you're dealing with hotel rooms or with theater tickets, or most of you will be familiar with this, with an airline ticket, cruise cabin on a cruise liner, you got one shot at it. In hotels, you got 365 different days to take that shot, but on each individual day, you've got to be accurate, the most accurate as possible.
Yeah, and so what tips can you give people that want to apply a little more of this to their life? You and I spoke for a few minutes before filming, right. And I said one of the discussions in our household, and probably every household in the developed world, is, hey, do we really want the kids playing on the iPads that much or not? And one of the household members might say, gee, why don't they play outside? Why do we want them on the computer? The other one might say, well, you want it to get up to speed in what's going on in the real world, and so let them play on the computer. It's good for them. But do we really know if it's good? Right? How do you apply that to everyday decision making?
Right, so chances are there's been research done on pretty much any topic you can think of. So it's really a matter of sourcing that and then discerning the accuracy of it. You're going to need to be really careful. And I mentioned to you as we were chatting earlier that social media can steer you the wrong way if you're not looking at what the source of the data is. You typically look for a university approved research that has been done that will really give you confidence that you're looking at the right thing. But indeed, there's going to be different opinions on things. What I like to do is challenge paradigms and then potentially shift paradigms. And what that is there are a lot of things that are status quo, and I think in life, two of the things that are pretty dangerous to say and to believe are, let's do that because that's the way we've always done it. Or let's do that just because that's the way it is. And neither one of those is probably optimal.
And that's not even in business, that's just in life.
That's in life. That's
right?
in life. And I mean, we're talking about business at the moment, but I would absolutely draw a parallel between that and weight training, Spartan training, CrossFit.
Cigarette smoking.
Anything in the world.
Everybody smokes cigarettes.
So yeah, you want to use the most data that you have to articulate the best decisions. Utilize research that's already been done. You don't need to reinvent the wheel a lot, but be very sure that you're looking for the accuracy of the data that you're looking at. But really just challenge things. Don't just assume because it's been done that way before that it's the right way.
So in other words, if you go into a grocery store, just because it's on the shelf doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Indeed.
Because it says natural.
Or because it says natural or organic, right?
Well, we could get into a whole other conversation on nutrition at this point, but indeed, I
But
mean,
it applies to everything is the point.
It really does. Think about 20 years ago when fat was the bad word, and now I think we all know that you need to have a healthy balance of fat and carbs and protein in your diet, and that was, for years, I avoided fat, and I would buy, I don't know if I should say a certain brand, but a brand of cookies that said it was low fat. At the end of the day, I was still eating cookies. Now, I've certainly moved away from that. And lately, I think people are abusing the word organic.
You know how many people I run into, and it's disgusting to say they drink Diet Coke.
Right.
I'm sure we'll never get Coke as a sponsor.
Right. Drink water.
Right?
Right.
But and they just did studies. I just read the studies that people drinking water versus drinking Diet Coke, which is 0 calorie, right? Everybody says they gain weight.
Indeed.
Right? So how are they gaining weight? Zero calories. How are they gaining weight?
I don't know the medicine behind it, but it does.
Right.
It's available out there. There are certain things that it's messing with your body. I really firm believer in water. I drink 16 cups of water as a rule a day, and there's all manner of things you can put into water that's healthy and natural that'll make it taste fantastic. And then obviously you're flushing your body out of toxins.
So don't just use your gut.
Yeah.
Question everything.
Right.
Whether you're a mom, a monk, a business person, whatever it is, question everything. Don't go along the status quo. Right. Just because somebody else is doing it, that doesn't mean it's okay.
Right. It's okay to challenge.
Don't
really
believe
is.
the marketing.
Yeah.
Right. You're running a big business. You're part of a big machine. And at the end of the day, you guys are looking to generate, as every business has, more revenue.
Yeah, let's not kid ourselves. Marketing is in place for a reason. And a lot of supplements are unregulated by the FDA, and they're going to tell you something because it's going to make you feel like you can get bigger, faster, stronger, what have you. And a lot of it comes down to just eat natural food, and I'm sure you'll get the benefits there. So marketing is very dangerous.
You know, when I came in here last night, and I'm carrying my kettlebell, and I'm going to check in, and it's midnight when I landed, I couldn't get to the check-in. I had to walk through an entire casino to get to the check-in. Right. There's a science there.
There is a science there, and that has been vehemently studied. They certainly want you to be a little bit...
they want it convenient.
Disoriented, perhaps, or maybe a little bit harder to get to the cage after you've won, if you've won. Good luck to you if you have. But certainly they want you encapsulated into the facility to be able to spend as much time here and not really be aware of the outdoor world. A lot of great things go on in these integrated resorts as well, so certainly not meaning to say anything poorly about it. But
there's a lot of
there's
science
behind it. There's nothing... Okay, so most of these buildings that we're in are going to be billion-dollar organizations, and you don't mess around when you're talking about billions of dollars, and you're going to put science behind every little thing. I'm going to give you examples, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Well, you questioned something without getting into specifics. You questioned something in one of the hotels. Maybe you could explain it without giving details, because I know you can't get into specifics.
Right, okay, so a lot of these large resorts have amenities and things. There's going to be a Ferris wheel. There's going to be fountains and gondola rides and things like that. And some of them are charged and some of them are not charged. But for the ones that have charged, there's going to be a price to it, and there's going to be somebody at some point in the past who set that price. And maybe it was based on competition, what the other choices in the market, because one of the tenets of economics is frankly substitution. If somebody doesn't buy this, what can they use those funds for, and what personal value do they get out of product A versus product B? So as you get more scientific, you're going to want to understand, you want to test. We talked a little bit about A/B testing, which is knowing the response, the customer response, by testing it. If you have the capacity and ability to do that, to charge a certain group of individuals one price, or provide a service one price, and another group the other, and you're able to test to see, as long as you maintain a control group so you can tell that most of the variables are identical. Don't want to geek out on you guys too much at this point, but...
Or eat dairy one week and not eat it the next week and see how you feel.
As long as you're maintaining control, as long as everything else is
the
a term called ceteris paribus in Latin, which means all else being equal. And you need to make sure all else is being equal. When you're weighing yourself in the morning on that scale, make sure you have the exact same clothing or lack thereof on, that you have the same water content in your body and whatnot.
We're gonna. We normally take a break right about now. We're gonna A/B test this. We're not taking a break.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
We're gonna see how this goes.
Yeah. All right.
No break.
Okay.
So keep going. No, keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going. So A/B testing.
So A/B testing, and really, there's something called consumer behavioral psychology, and it's fascinating. We were talking a little bit earlier about the power of the nines, and pricing with a certain number, and just cognitive dissonance or whatever it is. But a lot of human beings drop off the right number in a price, and that's why.
So $29.99.
Yeah. So $29.99, as absolutely ridiculous as it sounds, on a conscious level, individuals, including myself, who's well aware of it, will often focus on the leftmost. And when we think about this, we learn to read left to right from children. So you're always looking left, and that's going to be the
so $29.99 is going to be. We're always going to go towards $20. We're never going to go.
Some will. So, right. And here's the statement I'll make. Some people will associate $29.99 with 20. Nobody is going to associate $30 with 20. Right. So you're going to gain some advantage for the people that do assume that there's it's called rounding down, is frankly really what you're doing. And again, on a conscious level, nobody's going to look at $29.99 and not think, really, I'm spending $30. But there's just something that happens that makes it feel somehow cheaper, that makes the decision to purchase easier for you.
You're a super healthy guy.
Yep.
You were up early this morning doing your CrossFit workout. How do you get along in this place, right in this town? Because this is
There's a lot of ways to get off track from a healthy perspective. As you said, Joe, I do attend CrossFit, Kaizen CrossFit in Summerlin, Nevada, which is phenomenal. Great coaches, Mikey and James.
You're doing a good job, Mikey and James. He's very fit.
There you go. But it's really turning off distractions, and that comes down to willpower. You could certainly get in a lot of trouble in Las Vegas. And when I first got here, I've been here about 5 years, certainly wanted to try everything, and there was a reason to, because to be able to turn around and sell and market and price these things, you have to experience them. I'd say that in all walks of life. I think a lot of people in the hospitality industry get out of college and they have a degree in hospitality and think, okay, I'm going to be the general manager now. Why not? I've got this 4-year degree. Well, that's not the way it works. You really need to have worked at the front desk and have to understand what customers are looking for, why. It's always, I'm going to say why a lot, and I think we talked about this earlier. Question, question, question. Really need to understand what's going on in the consumer's mind. Again, even in my position, which is elevated in the hotel and casino industry, I need to be at the ground level and rolling up my sleeves and talking to customers, whether it's at the pool or in the nightclub or walking through the halls. And hey, how's your stay? What caused you to? How did you book? What caused you to book? Where else did you consider booking? What are some of these things? And it's amazing what you'll learn just by talking to people rather than making assumptions, because assumptions are deadly in this business and in all walks of life, frankly.
Yeah. So in life, all this knowledge you've gained in this billion-dollar organization and in Vegas, it's a decision-making process we're really talking about, whether you're buying a car, taking care of your kid, working out. Walk us through the steps you use to get better outcomes with those decisions.
Oh, sure, very happy to. What I'm going to do in every situation, step one, is collect existing data.
So you and your wife are talking about having a baby. You're going to collect data.
Yes, and we have a beautiful 16-month-old son. His name is Finn.
It worked.
But there were different, in today's modern world and science, there are different ways to have babies, even, frankly. And we certainly did all our research on that. And again, research goes beyond social media and getting people's opinions. You want to get fact. Talk to doctors. I was saying plural because I always go to multiple different sources. Almost like if you're going to go buy a car, you should always get 3 quotes. You should get 3 quotes on anything before spending any real money on anything.
But you never had girlfriends prior to your wife. She's watching. Right.
Of course not.
Right. You didn't get 3 quotes there.
Yeah, no, I certainly didn't. And ask the questions that you need to be inquisitive. And it may sound silly, but you go in there and why is the existing process, and again I'm going to sound like a geek if I keep using the word process, but and my Canadianism probably comes out using the process, but why is it the way it is? Is it because somebody at some point made the decision, and it very well could have been appropriate for that date and time with all the different parameters at that time? Today is a new day. You need to question the reasoning, and you've probably all heard this, right? If you're going to continue to do the things the same way they've always been done and expect a different outcome, that's the definition of insanity, I think, is what it is.
Right.
And that really goes to workouts, that really goes to dieting, that goes to everything. But in business, it's certainly true. For me to, we're just wrapping up budgets for 2017 right now. For me to increase my budget without having a pathway of how to get there, without an actual plan, an action plan, in fact, it would be insane. There's no way. You have to come up with things that are innovative, new to the market. I mean, innovation is phenomenal. It's pretty easy in Las Vegas for one of these mega resorts to copy the next in a hurry, and that happens. But being first to market has its advantages, certainly from an advertising perspective. But all these things really come down to challenging why it was done the way it was done in the first place, because there's probably a better way if you're willing to be patient and dig.
At its core, everything is. That's probably the big part of it, right? Because it's the road less traveled.
Sure.
It's hard to question. Why not just go and do whatever?
Especially if it's, and here's another thing, guys. A lot of you watching this are probably very successful, very healthy. And how do you get that incremental lift when you've done 99% of things right? How do you get that extra one little thing? And sometimes it is going back to changing paradigms, being willing to try something a little different. Data-driven, started to say moments ago, collect all the data that you have available to you and see these were the inputs at the time and these were the results at the time. If I modify the inputs, what might the output look like? And these are called changing variables, if you will, and then you can do some regression analysis, which is looking to see which variables ultimately contribute to putting yourself in a better position. Back to A/B testing, you can actually just observe. There's observational experimentation, and you can just, I'll do it this way and see what happens, and do it this way and see what happens, and I'll pick the best. But is A/B testing even, are we settling on A/B testing, right? We're talking about challenging. Maybe it should be A/B/C. Who chose A and who chose B? Were those the right choices? So continue, just dig really at the end of the day, and I think you'll find there's always a better way.
Is there, it's a lot easier to make a change if you've got data, right? If it's a subjective argument, if you're saying to your wife, no, the kid shouldn't be playing with the iPad, and she's saying, no, he should, right? Then it's a fight, and you don't even know what you're fighting over.
Yeah. I'll deal with millions of rows of data, and when I present up, I have a president, I have a chairman, and when I present up, it's 3 bullets. It's I did all the work, and here's what I want you to see, and here's what all those millions of rows of data mean, and here's what the takeaway is. So my takeaway may be something different. As we talked about, it's extracting big data, and that's actually a bit of a phenomenon in today's world, in that it is easy to get lost in big data, or just lots and lots of data, number crunches and stuff like that. So you're going to want somebody with the aptitude and attitude to pull the right data out of there. But assuming you have that, if you can pull 2 to 3 key things out of there that are useful and actionable and likely to get you to a better desired state in all walks of life, I think you've gained something.
All right, so we're going to drink water. We're not eating cookies.
Right.
Right? And no more gambling. That might get you in trouble.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no more gambling. Continue to gamble. There's certain people win, and certain people win a lot.
There you go.
So give it a shot. But in general, tighten up a little bit if you're expecting something different. It's going to be giving up the Diet Coke or the cookies, hitting a few more Spartan races or a few more CrossFit wads or whatever it means something to you.
You're the man.
Hope that helps.
What's awesome about him, there were stories that were going on that I couldn't share because he works for one of the casinos and he can't share that information. But I'll try to describe it best I can. There was a business within the casino that was a small business for them. Couldn't compare it to gambling or some of the other things they had. And he was just literally walking by this thing that they provide a service. And he asked a few questions, and it resulted in a $20 million change to their net income. And so the point is discipline and focus and looking at the data makes a difference, not just in the casino business where there's big money, but it makes a difference in your everyday life.
Yeah, and it was all data-driven. Like the idea that he said that you need to look at how you're doing things and not just accept they've always been this way, break it down and say, and that's the story there, can you make more money doing it a different way? But the other one that I thought was great is when he said, increasing your budget without a plan is insanity. And the idea that he doesn't do anything on his gut, he doesn't do anything on instinct, he breaks every single thing down, and clearly, as he says, it's $1 billion business because of it. I mean, they
don't mess around when there's that much money flowing through, right? You can't mess around, and so these companies are hiring more economists and more MIT quants and so forth to just analyze.
What's a quant?
What happens when it rains out? What happens when it's sunny? Right?
Yeah, it reminded me of Moneyball.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
There's a great example.
So it was like you were interviewing Brad Pitt there, and
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he did all the research. He had all the statistics,
Yeah.
The sabermetrics behind almost every decision he made.
Yeah.
So it's basically, the measure twice, cut once rule kind of thing. He gathers all the information and then maybe looks at it from a different angle than they have previously, or he asks questions that are different,
Sure.
but keeps digging and keeps going so that you measure something in a unique way.
There's management people that'll tell you, right, if you're not measuring, you're not going to succeed. So I don't know what the approach was in the military, but I would imagine it's the same thing. You're probably
It's
measuring
constant.
everything.
It is.
I want people out there to measure just their day. Just measure your day. Like, what did you do today? How much time were you idle? How many times did you do this? And you look back and Jesus, there is a lot of time I can go work out. There is a lot of time I can spend with my kid. But when it's just messed up, in one big blob of a memory, it's not the same as...
It's funny with my coaching clients. I have people will say, I don't use an agenda. I'm more of a free spirit. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And when you look at it, it always breaks down to you're not able to do anything. And they say, I want freedom. And I say, there is no freedom in chaos. You want freedom? Start working off an agenda that you block out the things that are important and get them done. You're going to have all kinds of freedom. But where there's no freedom is when your whole day fritters away, and then at the end of the day when you want to be with your kids, you're mad at them for bugging you when you're trying to get the work done you didn't do all day.
Sure.
So yeah, there's something huge to be said for that kind of structure. And then the other thing that I really loved that is kind of, I always look for what the takeaways are for, what if you're not an educated business person? What do you learn from this educated business person? He's very polished, very professional guy, presents very well, but he says, I'm not the guy with the hospitality degree. That guy works at the front desk. I'm the guy who learned from the bottom up. He came and learned every single bit of the business. So it's not to say don't get a degree, but it's to understand that if you really want to learn a business, learn every aspect and come from the bottom up.
No doubt about it. Most people don't, right? They come in, they want a title, they want this, they want that. Actually, they'd be better off if they started at the bottom.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
building
a tent camp with a shovel.
It's the entire instant gratification.
Right.
You want it now. That's it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said, though, because I have worked in the hospitality industry for a while, and unless you know how to delegate to interns, sweep the floor, unless your eyes are attuned to all the details that exist because you've done them, then a lot of things get oversighted. Like you were talking about the hose on the driveway when you did real estate, right? Your baseline becomes...
We don't let the hose.
No one knows that. No one
actually, though, I do want to...
Hose don't hang out in Vegas.
It happens
I do want to
take
a page out of Colonel Nye's book a while ago when he said that he'd be remiss in not mentioning his beautiful wife. When you talk about the hospitality business, my beautiful wife owns a resort in Ontario, Bonnie View Inn, and you're exactly right.
What was the name of it?
The Bonnie View Inn.
Very nice.
BonnieViewInn.com. But no, the idea though, as he says, you got to see everything. And she walks around the resort and she picks things up and moves things and fixes things and that nobody else notices, and that's what makes it successful.
The details is what makes hospitality successful.
Our lake, there used to be 20 resorts on it when she started 20-some years ago, and now there's one, hers. And it's because she's the one who remembers that couple who comes up every August likes teacups that are different than everyone else, so she has them in a cupboard, and when they arrive, she busts out those teacups.
Wow.
It's incredible. So it really does, those things make a difference.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if we've broken it down to find out how much profit there is in that yet, so I'm going to have her watch this interview so she can keep me in the manner to which I become accustomed.
I think one other takeaway that he says is, it was just a really interesting thing for my brain to process, is he says, look, I look at 1 million lines of data, right? And he's analyzing that. And I think even though it is statistics, you're using some of your instinct and gut to like weed out what's good, what's not. Yeah. And then when you present it to your bosses to have 3 points, that's kind of one of those things that like synthesization.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, is massive. Synthesizing is massive, and any people that I've worked for really.
Get that. It's good.
You know what? I feel like what I really need is a Diet Coke.
You're not getting a Diet
Get one
Coke.
here.
I'm replacing you on this podcast.
You're not getting one
There is
here.
no Diet Coke on the podcast.
Well, Sefra goes to try and sneak a Diet Coke. You should go to Spartan.com/podcast or YouTube or iTunes. Check us out. Come on back. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for watching another epic story of success. If you like our message, please share Spartan Up with your friends and subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you catch our show, maybe in the woods. Spartan Up is brought to you by Spartan Race. To find a race near you, visit Spartan.com.